All right. Thanks for joining us for our Because of Jesus podcast. We are here with our Mother's Day edition, part 2. We have Alicia Stone with us here today. So we're glad that you're here. And remember to like and subscribe, leave a comment, tell us what you're thinking, if it's nice. Share it with a friend. And you can watch the podcast on our YouTube channel, Palmetto Street Church of God, or you can listen to it on your favorite podcast platform. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Alicia, thank you for coming with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm very excited.
And on this special Mother's Day edition.
Yeah.
This is my first time ever doing this.
Okay. Well, same.
So, I did one other interview, but
yeah,
it's the first time here. Mm-hmm. So it's been fun.
Well, you're making me feel good.
Yeah.
For my first time, I feel comfortable. Yeah. I'm good. It's all good. So you're doing a good job.
Yeah. So the reason for this, we're hoping that we can encourage mothers of our church in different phases in their lives as mothers. So we reached out to different moms, different phases of their lives.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us where you are, like how long you've been a mother, how many kids you have, how old they are, stuff like that.
So I have been a mother since 2018 when we had our oldest. His name is Micah. And he is a ball of energy, very much like both him or like his father and I were as children. So we're both getting a little taste of our own medicine in our first one. And then in 2020, we had our second son. So 2 boys so far. And he's a little more tender. He's getting a little bit of a crazy streak, more like copying his brother, but he's the tender one of the 2. Yeah, we've been enjoying parentage. I've always wanted to be a mother. You know, I was one of those little girls that when I thought of my future, I thought of the kids I would get to have. That excited me. I never thought I would be a boy mom. That was interesting. I didn't know what I was going to do with boys. I didn't understand them growing up, so I was really nervous when I found out I was having a boy. The second time around, I was like, oh, got this.
Got it.
But the first time I was like, what do I do with a little boy? You know what I mean? But I tell people that now, like, the Lord has really opened my eyes to the beauty of raising a boy, because you're raising fathers and husbands, and how important that is, and how we need so many more stronger men in general in society, in our world. So blessing that I never would have prayed for myself, but the Lord blessed me with. And then last year we were expecting our third, and then we lost that one. We named that baby Noah. We didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. So we technically have 3. I tell people we've got 2 here and then 1 in heaven with Jesus. So and it's been the best blessing. I love motherhood. It's hard. Yeah. It like, you know, people are like, don't pray for patience because the Lord will give you patience. I feel like the best way he gives you patience is with children.
So you don't have to pray for it.
You don't even have to. Yeah, just have kids. Don't pray for it. Just be fruitful and multiply. You know what I mean?
So now 2018, did you have any concerns before you had Micah about being a mother? You said you've always wanted to be a mother.
Not really. Weirdly enough, I had more concerns about my second child because I was so nervous how that was going to play out. You know what I mean? And then, like, I knew that I could love 2 children, but I didn't know what that was going to look like, right?
I didn't know how to split the love.
Yeah. And it just happens. It's like your heart grows. You know, not to be corny, but like you see the Grinch and like the heart growing, you know what I mean? And so like that was in my like motherhood journey, that was the thing I was most nervous about, was the second kid and what that was going to look like. And you know, people are always like, it gets crazier with each kid, and no, things do get more complex. You have more emotions, more people. But like I was very unsure of how that was going to play out and how my oldest was going to react, and because being the oldest, the only child, so I was more nervous for my second than I was for my first. It was weird.
I told Neil I was nervous with Ashton just about staying in the hospital. I didn't want to stay in the hospital. And then that didn't matter. I
Yeah.
mean, after the baby comes, who cares?
Yeah.
You don't think about where you are. You
Until
just
like
kick into mama mode.
until they come and tell you that they're going to discharge you, and that discharge time feels like it takes like 2 weeks.
And you have to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's
Yeah.
true. So, tell me some of your greatest joys that you've experienced so far since 2018.
I would have to say, so I tell people that, and this is going to make sense in a second. I tell people that the Lord has like a really great sense of humor
Yeah.
because I'm an English major. I love
Mhm.
reading. I love literature. I love it so
Mhm.
much. And both of my children have been in speech therapy because they both had speech delays. And so, like, for me, in the beginning, I delayed that with my first son as long as I could because I felt like a failure. Like, how can I not be teaching my son? You know what I mean? I don't know. I just
Right.
felt like I was failing him in some way. And when he turned, I want to say he was almost 3. I saw and I was like, okay, this is not fixing itself. Like,
Mhm.
and I really don't know what to do because I just don't know what to do. And so we got him into speech therapy, and seeing him blossom and grow when he from 3 to 5 now, he's almost 6. Um, it's like, and then the same thing with my youngest. Like they both,
Mhm.
Micah graduated from speech therapy maybe like 8 months ago, and Elisha was a few months behind him.
Okay.
And just like seeing their personalities
Right.
grow and like their vocabulary grow. Because, some people, their kids just start talking right out. And you just get that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Every
my
child's
nieces were
different.
like
Yeah.
that. My husband's cousins' kids were like that,
People
talking from
joke.
like toddling around. And I'm like, I don't know what that's like. And so
People joke
like,
that Ashton came out of the womb talking.
yeah, right. And I don't know what that's like at all because both of my boys, it was like not a struggle, but we had to work for it. And so
Mhm.
it felt like because of that. Now their personality and the things that they liked, that it showed through a little bit, but the more
Mhm.
that the vocabulary there grows, like the more we get to know who they are.
Oh yeah.
And that's so exciting. Like Micah, he can talk sentences around you now. Like there's a
Mhm.
few, he's still got to grow and learn more as he gets older, but like he can just, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like his mama and his dad, to be honest. And Elisha is starting to like really like comprehend things and really talk, and he's copying more, and he'll like say a sentence back to you. Like you'll say something and he's like, or I'll be like, the couch is blue. No, why would a couch be blue? The couch is brown. And he's like, the couch is brown? And I'm like, yeah. And it's just so cute seeing
Uh-huh.
like the growth in that. But another aspect is just like seeing how much like we as parents have grown and how I've grown. Like
Mhm.
the idea of like being a mother, what it looked like before I had kids is very similar to what it's like, but like so much more.
Mhm.
And like the growth that's happened in me since having kids.
Okay, now you're talking about growth.
Mhm.
So how has your relationship with the Lord helped you with this growth? And how has it helped you just as a mother?
So to be quite honest, I was not in the best place with my relationship with God. We were going to church. We were attending church. We were living in North Carolina at the time and regularly attending church. But I wasn't taking my relationship with the Lord as seriously as I should have been.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of that thing where I was like checking off a box. I didn't really read. I wasn't really in the Word that much. I would listen to worship music and I'd go to church, and I was like, good. And then I found out that I was pregnant with Micah. And I remember distinctly having a moment where I was just like, I don't remember where I was, or I just remember
It was a moment.
it was a moment where I was like, I'm about to be responsible for not just another child, but that person's spirit and their spiritual growth. And I grew up in a very like God-fearing, God-loving household. And I just sat there in that, and I was like, that's my responsibility.
Yeah.
Like that's a whole spirit, a person.
Yeah.
And that person is going to either come to know Jesus one day or not. And that's going to be on me. You know what I mean? And so like getting pregnant with Micah, really, I dug my heels in, and I was like, I'm going to take this seriously, more serious than I've ever taken it in my life. And like I went from just reading the Bible when I did to studying scripture. What does this
Right.
mean in context of how it happened to the people at the time, to how God wanted us to know it? You know what I mean? And like looking at the context and like the historical and like just like really studying scripture and not just reading it to like say, I read my Bible today. And because of that, like I feel like each day, the more I do it, I grow in understanding of who God is. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Um,
I think it's funny you're talking about like almost like accountability.
mhm.
Like Michael was the one that almost held you accountable.
Right. And he
Like,
had no idea.
and he wasn't even here yet.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you know, when they get older, like,
Mhm.
you know, Aiden is 17 now. And so he's almost like my accountability partner now
Yeah.
because I mean, he doesn't know it, but he keeps me on my knees in my prayer closet.
Mhm.
You know, so hey, you know, it's from birth to
Life.
they keep us there.
Literally your whole life. My mom and dad still praying for me.
Yeah, my parents do too, you
Yeah.
know. I mean, it's a lifer thing.
Yeah.
And so I mean, God knew what he was doing.
Mhm.
Give us kids and we're
Uh-huh.
there.
Yeah. It's a beautiful relationship
It is.
to have.
It
And
is.
it's by far one of the best blessings I've ever had. One of the
Absolutely.
hardest, and that has grown my character the hardest, you know, between marriage and having children. I feel like that those are such strong character
So what's the
growing.
biggest struggle with motherhood?
Mm, Probably the patience. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just understanding that kids are different, and
Personality?
especially when they couldn't talk and verbalize what was going on with them.
Mhm.
That was really hard because you're like, what? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I don't know how to help you. And you can't just look at them and say, just tell me, because at the
They
time they
can't
did.
tell you.
And so like finding a way to like go through those situations without exploding
Yeah.
and being like a problem. You know what I mean?
So
An
keeping your
unhealthy,
cool
like, yeah, keeping
and
your cool and just like, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
that
Because I'm a person that I feel big emotions. Like
mhm.
I feel really large emotions, and like I can when I don't get angry a lot, but when I get angry, I'm like really angry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or when I get annoyed, I'm like really annoyed. It's
Mhm.
like I'm so weird. It's like usually I'm pretty chill and I'm good, but when I cross that like threshold, like it I can go from like 1 to 10 real quick. And so like working that in me,
Yeah.
because they don't deserve that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like learning to contain. And like one of the exercises, and Micah will use this on me today. Elisha, not so much, because you know, he's still getting there. But like, if I start, like when Micah was going through like those emotions where he was like throwing himself on the floor, the big temper tantrums,
Because he couldn't express himself.
right? Our thing was always I would get him to calm down, but I would say deep breaths,
Mhm.
and I would take deep breaths with him. I would take deep breaths, and that was how I would get him to calm down. And so if I'm ever, and I'm airing myself out here, but if I ever get to the point where I'm like, that my emotions are getting real big, Michael will look at me and he's like, Mom, deep breath, take deep breaths. And he'll take deep breaths with me.
There's
And
your
it's,
accountability
yes,
partner right there.
yes, so honestly, the biggest struggle is not even so much my children. It's like the reactions that come up in me, or,
Mhm.
you know, because I don't know. It's just learning to contain when things are difficult and I'm stressed to the max.
And you see that he sees that
Mm-hmm.
in you when he comes to you saying deep breath.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's also like a check
Mm-hmm.
to you, like, oh,
Yeah,
oh.
yeah. He's seeing this. He can see
He's
it.
seeing it.
Yes.
So what am I going to, you want him to see real life,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
but you want him to see you handle real
Right.
life in
And
a
being able to
way.
have emotional stability,
Right.
and self-soothing. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
being able to like not make yourself okay, but like being able to self-regulate even as adult, because we have to do that. Like not in the extent that children have to, but like
I, I, when Aiden was younger and he would get frustrated, I would always tell him, you know, scripture says it's okay to get angry and sin not.
mm,
So you can be angry.
Yeah.
but we have to stop right there.
Yeah. When you act out that anger.
So what are we going to
Yeah.
do? And so we would look for scripture about anger. We'd look for scripture about what can you do. We'd look for scripture. And I'd say, I don't want you to think that I'm punishing you that
Yeah.
we're looking for scripture, but we're learning because this is full of information to teach us, to guide us, to help us.
Yeah.
And so he would get mad on the ball field, or he would get mad at home, or he would, whatever. So we would look for that.
Yeah.
And then if I would get frustrated with school, he would say, well, we can look at here and see. And I'm like,
I love that.
okay.
Checking you real quick, like
check
mom.
it. Check
But
it.
that's so good though. And that's like
our built-in accountability.
yeah.
partners.
And then when they grow up, they'll be that for other people because
Absolutely.
a lot of people don't grow up with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's so awesome, and that's a good thing to know for me to know because Micah can get he gets his mama's anger, I guess, because like I get like you know what I mean? I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have to sometimes express myself.
Yeah.
I'm a very expressive person, but and like and I have to sit down with him, and it's a good learning experience for both him and me. You know what I mean? Good growth. But now I know we can do that. We do Bible time together. They love helping me with my Bible time.
Yeah.
But now, gearing in on that, like what we're struggling with, like what's the solution to this? Like how do we help that? I love that.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Well, thank you so much for coming, and I am hoping that this will help some of the mothers in our church that may have some younger kiddos, or maybe somebody that has kids that maybe they just need a calm down minute.
Yeah.
It's okay. A deep breath moment.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I hope it'll help somebody out there. And once again, I just appreciate you coming.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Thanks
I had
so
fun.
much.
Thank you.